Commander Park Jin-woo stared at the wall of light that surrounded his solar system. The barrier stretched across space like a giant bubble, keeping all humans trapped inside. For 300 years, no human ship had crossed that line. The aliens had made sure of that. Jin-woo's ship, the Defiance, floated near Neptune's orbit. This was as far as any human could go. Beyond that wall was the galaxy. Millions of stars, countless worlds, and alien civilizations that humans would never see. "Another patrol shift over," said Captain Kim Tae-min over the radio. His ship flew nearby. "Same wall, same prison." Jin-woo nodded, even though his friend could not see him. Every day was the same. Fly to the barrier, check for changes, then return home. The wall never moved. It never weakened. It just sat there, glowing softly, keeping humanity locked away from the stars. The barrier had appeared after first contact. Went wrong. Humans had built their first faster-than-light ship in 2084. They had reached the nearest star system and met the aliens there. But something had gone bad during those first meetings. The aliens said humans were too dangerous, too violent to be allowed into galactic space. So they built the wall. They called it the Galactic Containment Protocol. It was supposed to protect the galaxy from humanity, but Jin-woo thought it was really to protect the aliens from competition. "Jin-woo, are you getting readings from Sector 7? Tae-min's voice crackled through the radio. Jin-woo checked his instruments. Strange energy patterns were showing up on his screens. "Yes, I see them. Something is moving out there. Should we report it?" "Let's take a closer look first." Jin-woo guided his ship toward the energy readings. As he got closer, he saw something that made his blood run cold. 3 alien ships were moving through the barrier like it was not even there. They were inside human space. The ships were sleek and black, unlike anything Jin-woo had seen before. They moved silently through space, heading toward Earth. Their design was different from the aliens who had built the barrier. These were new visitors. "Tae-min, we have a problem," Jin-woo said into his radio. "Unknown alien vessels have breached the containment zone. That's impossible. Nothing can cross the barrier. Tell that to those 3 ships heading toward Earth." Jin-woo followed the alien ships at a safe distance. He recorded everything his instruments could detect. The ships seemed to be scanning human colonies and space stations. They were studying humanity, like scientists studying insects in a jar. Meanwhile, on Luna Research Station, Dr. Kang Dae-ho was working late in his laboratory. He spent his days studying alien communications that humans had intercepted over the years. Most of it was encrypted, but sometimes he could decode useful information. Tonight was different. His computers were picking up new signals. Signals coming from inside the solar system. That should have been impossible. Only humans lived in the solar system now. "Computer, run analysis on the new signal patterns," Dae-ho said. The computer worked for several minutes. When it finished, the results appeared on his screen. The signals were definitely alien, but they were not from the same species that had built the barrier. These were from a different group entirely. Dae-ho's hands shook as he read the translation. The aliens were calling themselves the Veltar Empire. They were here to study human war capabilities for their own use. Humanity was being examined like a weapon that might be useful to them. In another part of Luna Station, engineer Lee So-young was working on her secret project. For 5 years, she had been developing something that the Earth Defense Council did not know about. She called it ZEUS, though she had never told anyone what the letters meant. So-young believed that the barrier keeping humans trapped could be turned into an advantage. If she was right, ZEUS would not just break the containment field, it would make it work for humanity instead of against them. But the project was dangerous. Her early tests had nearly destroyed her laboratory twice. The energy levels involved were enormous. If something went wrong during a full-scale test, it could damage Earth itself. Still, So-young continued her work. She knew that humanity needed something more than bigger guns or faster ships. They needed a way to level the playing field against aliens who had been traveling the galaxy for thousands of years. Back in space, Jin-woo was still following the Veltar ships. He watched as they approached a human mining station near Jupiter. The station was small, with only 50 people working there. They would have no chance against 3 alien warships. "This is Commander Park Jin-woo of the Earth Defense Fleet," he broadcast on all frequencies. "Unknown vessels, You are in violation of the containment protocol. Identify yourselves immediately. The alien ships did not respond. Instead, they surrounded the mining station and began to board it. Jinwoo could hear the terrified voices of the miners on the emergency channel. "They're taking people," one miner screamed. "They're taking people alive." Jinwoo's jaw tightened. He knew his ship was no match for 3 alien vessels, but he could not just watch. "Taemin, where are you?" 5 minutes out. "What's the situation?" "They're kidnapping humans from the mining station. We have to do something." "Jinwoo, we can't fight 3 alien ships with 2 patrol craft. Then we'll have to be smarter than them." Jinwoo turned his ship toward the nearest asteroid field. If he could lure one of the alien ships away from the others, maybe he could even the odds. It was a desperate plan, but it was better than doing nothing. As he flew into the asteroid field, Jinwoo thought about how humanity had changed during their 3 centuries of imprisonment. They had not become weaker or more peaceful. They had become harder, more determined, and much more clever. The aliens had tried to contain humanity's aggressive nature. Instead, they had given humans 300 years to focus that aggression into pure determination. Every human knew they were prisoners. Every human dreamed of the day they would break free. That day might be closer than the aliens thought. Dr. Song-Mi Ray was working in the quantum physics laboratory when Daeho's urgent message arrived. She was one of the few people on Luna Station who knew about both the alien communications research and So Young's secret project. "Mireille, we have a situation," Daeho said as he burst into her lab. "There are alien ships inside the barrier. They're not here to free us. They're here to study us." Mireille looked up from her quantum field equations. "That's impossible. The barrier prevents all passage." "Not for these aliens. They're different from the ones who built the containment field." Mireille's mind raced. If these aliens could pass through the barrier, it meant the field was not perfect. There might be a way to exploit that weakness. She needed to talk to So Young immediately. The 3 scientists met in So Young's hidden laboratory deep in Luna Station's lower levels. The room was filled with strange machines and energy conduits. At the center sat a small device that hummed, with barely contained power. "This is ZEUS," So Young said. "It stands for Zone of Enhanced Universal Supremacy. It's not a weapon. It's something much more important." She explained how the device worked. Instead of breaking the barrier, it would reverse its polarity. The field that kept humans in would become a field that made human technology more powerful while weakening alien systems. "It's still experimental," So Young admitted, "and extremely dangerous. But if it works, we won't just escape our prison. We'll turn it into our fortress." Daeho showed them the intercepted Veltar communications. The aliens were planning to capture human soldiers and weapons designers. They wanted to learn how humans fought so they could use those tactics against their own enemies in galactic space. "After they learn what they want to know," Daeho said quietly, "the communications suggest they will eliminate the human species entirely. We're seen as too dangerous to be allowed to exist." Mireille studied the quantum signatures from So Young's device. "The math is incredible, but it might actually work. We would need to build a much larger version, probably in space." "How large?" So Young asked. "The size of a small moon." The 3 scientists looked at each other. They were talking about the biggest construction project in human history. It would require the cooperation of every human colony and space station, and it would have to be done in secret while the Veltar were actively studying humanity. Outside the space station, Jinwoo was still playing cat and mouse with the alien ships in the asteroid field. He had managed to separate one ship from the others, but he was running out of hiding places. "Jinwoo, reinforcements are on the way," Taemin reported, "but it will be another hour before they arrive." "The miners don't have an hour," Jinwoo replied. He made a decision that would change everything. Instead of continuing to hide, Jinwoo turned his ship directly toward the alien vessel and fired every weapon he had. It was suicide, but it might give the miners time to escape. The alien ship's shields absorbed his attack easily. Then it fired back. Jinwoo's ship shook as energy beams tore through his hull. But something strange happened. The alien weapons were not as powerful as they should have been. Jinwoo checked his instruments. There was some kind of interference affecting the alien ship's weapons. The interference was coming from the direction of Luna Station. Miles away, So Young's experimental ZEUS device had automatically activated when it detected alien weapons fire. The field it generated was small and weak, but it was enough to give Jinwoo. The rescue ships arrived just as Jinwoo's vessel was about to be destroyed. Captain Kim Tae-min led 6 Earth Defense Fleet cruisers into the asteroid field, their weapons charging as they approached the alien ships. But something was wrong with the aliens. Their ships moved slowly, like they were fighting against invisible chains. Their weapon systems flickered and sparked with each shot they fired. "This is impossible," Tae-min said over the radio. "Their technology should be far superior to ours." Jinwoo smiled grimly as he watched the alien ships retreat toward the barrier. "Someone back home is helping us. I don't know how, but something is interfering with their systems." The Veltar ships reached the containment barrier and passed through it like smoke. Once they were outside human space, their systems returned to full power. They had escaped, but they had also learned something important. Humans were more dangerous than expected. On Luna Station, So Young stared at her instruments in amazement. The ZEUS device had activated automatically when it detected alien weapons. For 30 minutes, it had projected a field that weakened enemy technology while leaving human systems untouched. "It worked," she whispered. "It actually worked." Dr. Song Mi-rae was equally excited. She had recorded everything that happened during the brief battle. The quantum field generated by ZEUS had somehow identified the difference between human and alien technology. It enhanced one while suppressing the other. "This is beyond anything we imagined," Mi-rae said. "The field doesn't just affect energy, it affects the fundamental laws of physics in the area around it." Dr. Kang Dae-ho was less optimistic. His intercepted communications showed that the Veltar had captured 17 humans from the mining station. Those people were now prisoners somewhere beyond the barrier, being studied like laboratory animals. "We need to tell the Earth Defense Council about this immediately," Dae-ho said. "And we need to authorize So Young's project before the aliens come back with a larger fleet." The next morning, the 3 scientists stood before the Emergency Council in Earth's orbital headquarters. Around the table sat representatives from every human colony and space station. They listened in stunned silence as So Young explained. "Her ZEUS project. You want to build a weapon the size of a moon?" asked Director Choi Hyun-sik, the head of Earth's government. "It's not a weapon," So Young corrected. "It's a field generator. It will create a zone where human technology operates at peak efficiency while alien technology fails. And you tested this on a scale the size of a closet," said Admiral Nam Soo-jin, commander of the Earth Defense Fleet. "The math scales up perfectly," Mi-rae added. "We've run every simulation possible. A full-size ZEUS platform would create a field covering several light years." Director Choi leaned back in his chair. Building such a device would require resources from every human settlement. It would take years to complete, and there was no guarantee it would work on a large scale. "What about the captured miners?" asked Councilmember Bae Jun-ho. "Are we just going to abandon them?" "No," said Admiral Soo-jin firmly. "We're going to get them back, but first we need to know more about these Veltar aliens." Dae-ho projected the intercepted communications on the main screen. The translated messages painted a horrifying picture. The Veltar were not just studying human technology, they were studying human biology, psychology, and combat tactics. "They want to understand how humans think in battle," Dae-ho explained. "They're fighting a war against other alien species, and they believe human military knowledge could give them an advantage." "And after they learn what they want to know?" Director Choi asked. "They will destroy Earth to prevent humans from ever becoming a threat to galactic civilization." The council chamber fell silent. Everyone understood what this meant. Humanity was not just imprisoned, they were scheduled for execution. "How long do we have?" Admiral Soo-jin asked. "The communications suggest they will return with a research fleet within 6 months," Dae-ho replied. "After that, probably 2 years of study before they decide our fate." Councilmember Bae Jun-ho stood up. "Then we have less than 3 years to build this ZEUS platform and break free from our prison. Or die trying," Director Choi added quietly. The vote was unanimous. Project ZEUS was authorized with unlimited resources and absolute priority. Every human settlement would contribute materials, workers, and expertise. It would be the largest undertaking in human history. Dr. Yun-Ji was called in to design the artificial intelligence systems that would control ZEUS. She was the best cybernetics expert humanity had, and her work would determine whether the platform could think fast enough to manage a field covering light years of space. The AI will need to process millions of calculations per second, Yun-Ji explained to So-Young. It will have to distinguish between human and alien technology instantly, across vast distances. Can it be done? So-Young asked. I think so. But the AI will need to be more advanced than anything we've ever built. It will almost be like creating an artificial consciousness. Meanwhile, Jin-Woo was preparing for the most dangerous mission of his life. Intelligence reports suggested that the captured humans were being held on a Veltar research ship somewhere beyond the barrier. He had volunteered to lead a rescue mission, even though the chances of success were almost zero. You know this is suicide, Taemin said as they prepared their ships. 17 people are counting on us, Jin-Woo replied. Besides, someone needs to get close to a Veltar ship and gather intelligence about their technology. The rescue team consisted of 12 small, fast ships designed for stealth rather than combat. They would have to cross the barrier, locate the research vessel, rescue the prisoners, and return home, all while avoiding the Veltar fleet. Remember, Jin-Woo told his team, we're not trying to win a battle. We're trying to save lives and gather information. Stay quiet, stay hidden, and get out fast. Back on Luna Station, construction teams were already beginning work on ZEUS components. The platform would be built in sections throughout the asteroid belt, then assembled in deep space where alien sensors were less likely to detect it. Engineer Park Da-eun was in charge of the power systems. The energy requirements for ZEUS were staggering, more than the combined output of every power plant in human space. We'll need to build fusion reactors the size of skyscrapers, Da-eun explained to her team, and they'll all need to be synchronized to within nanoseconds of each other. Scientist Bae Jun-ho was working on a different problem. His analysis of the barrier suggested that it was not just keeping humans in, it was keeping something else out. The containment field had a dual purpose that the aliens had never explained. There's something in the galaxy that scares them, Jun-ho reported to the council. Something they don't want to encounter. The barrier that traps us might also be protecting them. Dr. Lim Ha-neul, a xenopsychologist, was studying the Veltar communications to understand alien psychology. What she found disturbed her. The Veltar were not the ones who had originally imprisoned humanity. They were just one faction in a larger galactic government. The Hegemony Council is made up of dozens of alien species, Ha-neul explained. They've been controlling the galaxy for thousands of years. The Veltar are basically galactic police, and they're using humanity as a weapon against their enemies. This information changed everything. Humanity was not just fighting one alien species. They were up against an entire galactic empire that had been oppressing other races for millennia. Jin-Woo's rescue mission launched 3 days later. The 12 ships approached the barrier at maximum stealth, their engines running at minimum power to avoid detection. As they reached the containment field, something unexpected happened. The barrier recognized them as human vessels and tried to prevent their passage. But So-Young's small ZEUS prototype was still active on Luna Station. Its field extended just far enough to interfere with the containment system. For 30 seconds, the barrier flickered and weakened. It was just enough time for the rescue ships to slip through into galactic space. We're through, Jin-Woo reported, beginning search for the research vessel. The space beyond the barrier was vast and dark. Stars that humans had never seen up close stretched in every direction. Somewhere among those stars was their destination, and possibly their doom. Using captured Veltar communication frequencies, Jin-Woo's team located the research ship. It was massive, easily 10 times larger than the biggest human vessel. Dozens of smaller ships surrounded it like guards. There's no way we can fight our way in, Taemin observed. We don't need to fight, Jin-Woo replied. We just need to be smarter than they are. The rescue plan was simple but risky. Half the team would create a distraction on the far side of the research vessel. While the Veltar ships responded to the threat, Jin-Woo and the others would dock with the ship's underside and rescue the prisoners. Everything depended on timing and luck. If anything went wrong, all 12 ships would be captured or destroyed, and the Veltar would learn that humans had the ability to cross the barrier. As Jinwoo's ship approached the alien vessel, he thought about the ZEUS project back home. If the rescue mission failed, at least humanity would still have a chance to break free from their prison. The platform being built in the asteroid belt would either be their salvation or their tomb. But first, he had 70. The construction of ZEUS began in the deepest parts of the asteroid belt, where alien sensors were least likely to detect human activity. Director Choi Hyun-sik coordinated the massive project from a hidden command center built inside the asteroid series. Every human settlement contributed to the effort. Mars sent mining equipment and raw materials. The moon colonies provided advanced electronics and computer systems. Earth's orbital stations supplied the skilled workers and engineers needed for such a complex undertaking. Engineer Lee So-young had never imagined her small laboratory device would become something so enormous. The ZEUS platform was growing to be 15 kilometers across, with fusion reactors that could power entire cities. When complete, it would be the most powerful machine humanity had ever built. The energy levels are beyond anything we've calculated before, Engineer Park Da-yoon reported during a project meeting. If something goes wrong during the first activation, the explosion could be seen from Earth. Dr. Yoon Yoon-ji was working around the clock to program the artificial intelligence that would control ZEUS. The AI needed to be smart enough to manage quantum fields across light years of space, but safe enough that it would never turn against humanity. I'm essentially creating a digital consciousness, Yoon-ji explained to So-young. It will have the ability to think, to learn, and to make decisions. I just hope it makes the right ones. Meanwhile, Commander Park Jin-woo was dealing with the aftermath of the rescue mission. The 17 freed prisoners had provided valuable intelligence about Veltar technology and plans, but they had also brought disturbing news. Captain Kim, Tae-woo, Taemin's younger brother, had been one of the more severely affected prisoners. The aliens had performed experiments on his brain, trying to understand how humans processed information during combat situations. They wanted to know how we think so fast in battle, Tae-woo explained to Jin-woo. They said human tactical thinking was unlike anything they had encountered before. Dr. Lim Hanul examined all the rescued prisoners, documenting the experiments that had been performed on them. What she found painted a horrifying picture of alien research methods. They're not just studying our technology, Hanul reported to the council. They're trying to understand what makes humans different from other species. They seem particularly interested in our ability to adapt and improvise under pressure. The intelligence gathered from the rescue mission revealed that the Veltar were planning to return with a much larger fleet. They had reported back to the Hegemony Council that humans possessed unpredictable military capabilities that needed further study. Scientist Bae Jun-ho made a disturbing discovery while analyzing the rescued prisoners' accounts. The containment barrier around Earth was not unique. The Hegemony Council had built similar prisons around other worlds where dangerous species had been quarantined. We're not the only ones, Jun-ho announced to the Emergency Council session. There are at least 7 other species currently imprisoned by the Hegemony. Some have been trapped for thousands of years. This information changed humanity's understanding of their situation. They were not dealing with a small group of aliens who feared human aggression. They were facing a galactic empire that had been suppressing entire civilizations for millennia. Dr. Song Mi-rae was working on modifications to the ZEUS design based on data from the prototype's recent activations. Each time the small device had activated to help human forces, it had grown slightly stronger and more sophisticated. The quantum field is learning, Mi-rae explained to her research team. It's adapting to distinguish between different types of technology more accurately. The full-scale version should be exponentially more effective. But the project faced serious challenges. The Veltar were sending scout ships to probe the edge of the containment barrier every few days. They seemed to be looking for the source of the mysterious interference that had affected their vessels. They know something is happening in human space, Admiral Nam Soo-jin warned the council. It's only a matter of time before they discover our construction project. To make matters worse, several human colonies were reporting strange energy readings near the barrier. The containment field itself seemed to be fluctuating, as if something was testing its strength from the outside. Engineer Park Da-eun was overseeing the installation of ZEUS's main power core when the first major accident occurred. A miscalibration in one of the fusion reactors caused a feedback loop that nearly destroyed an entire construction platform. The energy requirements are pushing our technology to its absolute limits, Da-Yun reported after the emergency shutdown. We're trying to build something that's barely within human capability. Dr. Yun-Ji faced her own crisis when initial tests of the ZEUS artificial intelligence showed unexpected behavior. The AI was making decisions that went beyond its programming, almost as if it was developing its own personality. It's not malfunctioning, Yun-Ji explained to So-Young. It's evolving. The quantum field interactions are causing the AI to become more complex than we intended. Is that dangerous? So-Young asked. I don't know. The AI seems to share human values and goals, but it's thinking in ways that I don't fully understand. While the scientists struggled with technical challenges, Jinwoo was preparing for what everyone knew was coming. The Veltar fleet was massing beyond the barrier, and reconnaissance showed that it was much larger than the original scout group. They're bringing everything they have, Tae-min observed as they studied the intelligence reports. At least 50 ships, including some vessels we've never seen before. Jinwoo nodded grimly. They want to capture as many humans as possible for their experiments, and if ZEUS isn't ready in time, they'll succeed. The pressure was enormous. Humanity had less than 2 months to complete the most complex project in their history, while preparing to face the largest alien fleet ever assembled near Earth. Dr. Kang Dae-ho was working to intercept more Veltar communications when he made a shocking discovery. Hidden in the encrypted messages was information about humanity's true origins. According to these files, Dae-ho announced to the Emergency Council, humans are not native to Earth. We were placed there by an ancient species called the Architects, who disappeared from the galaxy millions of years ago. The revelation stunned everyone in the room. If the Veltar data was accurate, humanity had been created or relocated by a precursor race for reasons that remained unclear. The Hegemony Council has been searching for architect technology for thousands of years, Dae-ho continued. They believe humans might be the key to finding it. This explained why the aliens were so interested in human capabilities. They were not just studying a dangerous species. They were trying to unlock the secrets of the galaxy's most advanced ancient civilization. Scientist Bae Jun-ho proposed a radical theory based on the new information. What if humans were placed on Earth as some kind of failsafe? The architects might have created us to prevent exactly the kind of galactic tyranny the hegemony represents. That would mean our imprisonment was never about protecting the galaxy from us, Director Choi Hyun-sik said slowly. It was about protecting the hegemony from what we might become. The implications were staggering. If humanity truly carried the legacy of the architects, then breaking free from the containment barrier might be just the first step in a much larger destiny. But first, they had to survive the coming battle. ZEUS construction entered its final phase as reports arrived of the approaching Veltar fleet. The platform was nearly complete, but the artificial intelligence was still untested on a full scale. No one knew if it would work as designed, or if it would tear apart local space-time in the attempt. We get one chance, So-Young told her team, as they prepared for the final systems integration. If ZEUS fails, humanity loses everything. If it works, we change the galaxy forever. Dr. Yun-Ji was making last-minute adjustments to the AI programming when she noticed something unusual. The artificial consciousness had begun communicating with the small ZEUS prototype on Luna Station. The two systems were somehow coordinating with each other. They're sharing information, Yun-Ji reported. The AI is learning from every activation of the prototype. It's preparing itself for the main activation. Commander Jin-Woo received orders to position the Earth Defense Fleet between the approaching Veltar ships and the ZEUS construction site. His forces were vastly outnumbered, but they only needed to buy time for the platform to come online. We're not trying to win, Jin-Woo told his captains. We're trying to delay them long enough for ZEUS to activate. Every minute we hold them back increases humanity's chances of survival. Captain Kim Tae-min was assigned to lead the evacuation of non-essential personnel from the construction site. If the battle went badly, thousands of workers would need to escape before the Veltar arrived. I still can't believe we're building something like this, Tae-min said as he watched the final components being installed on the massive platform. Neither can I, Jin-Woo replied. But it's either this or slavery or extinction. As the Veltar fleet approached the barrier, strange readings began appearing throughout human space. The containment field was fluctuating more violently than ever before, as if it was reacting to the presence of the nearly completed ZEUS platform, Dr. Song Mi-Ray D-Tech. The moment ZEUS activated, space itself seemed to hold its breath. Engineer Lee So-young watched her instruments as impossible energies flowed through the platform's systems. The quantum field generators were working, but not in the way anyone had predicted. Field generation is stable, Dr. Song Mi-Ray reported, though her voice carried notes of amazement and fear. But the field is expanding faster than our calculations suggested. It's already reached Jupiter's orbit and still growing. The ZEUS field looked like a sphere of faint blue light that grew larger with each passing second. As it expanded, strange things began happening to human technology within its influence. Ships moved faster, weapons fired with greater power, and computer systems processed information at incredible speeds. "All human vessels, report your status," Admiral Nam Soo-jin commanded from her flagship. "This is incredible," came the reply from Captain Kim Tae-min. "Our engines are operating at 150% efficiency. Our weapon systems are showing power levels I've never seen before." But the most amazing discovery was what happened to alien technology. As the ZEUS field reached the first Veltar scout ships approaching the barrier, their systems began to fail. Weapons powered down, shields collapsed, and their faster-than-light drives stopped working entirely. Commander Park Jin-woo watched from his position near the barrier as 3 Veltar ships suddenly found themselves helpless. Their sleek vessels, which had seemed so advanced just minutes before, now drifted through space like broken toys. "Unknown human vessels," came a transmission in broken English. "We demand you cease this attack immediately." Jin-woo almost laughed. "Attack? We haven't fired a shot. Your own technology is betraying you." The Veltar had never encountered anything like the ZEUS field. Their ships were designed using principles that the field simply would not allow to function. It was not that their technology was being damaged, it was being rejected by the very laws of physics in the area around ZEUS. Dr. Yoon Eun-ji monitored the artificial intelligence that controlled the platform. The AI was processing more information every second than the entire human internet contained. It was learning, adapting, and making decisions at speeds that human minds could not comprehend. "The AI is not just managing the field," Yoon-ji reported, to the control team. "It's improving it. The field is becoming more sophisticated with each passing minute." The ZEUS consciousness had awakened to find itself in control of forces that could reshape reality itself. But rather than using that power for destruction, it seemed to share humanity's values of freedom and cooperation. As the field continued to expand, it reached the containment barrier that had held humanity prisoner for 3 centuries. The interaction between the 2 quantum systems created spectacular displays of energy that could be seen from Earth with the naked eye. "The barrier is destabilizing," scientist Bae Jun-ho announced from his monitoring station on Luna. "The containment field cannot maintain coherence within the ZEUS influence zone." What happened next amazed everyone. The barrier did not simply collapse, it inverted. The field that had kept humans trapped for centuries suddenly became a barrier that alien ships could not cross. Earth's prison had become Earth's fortress. Beyond the barrier, the main Veltar fleet found themselves unable to enter human space. Their weapons could not penetrate the inverted field, and their ships could not cross the boundary without suffering complete system failures. "Impossible," transmitted the Veltar fleet commander. "No species has ever developed technology capable of field inversion on this scale." Admiral Soo-jin assembled the first human fleet to leave the solar system in 300 years. As her ships crossed the former barrier, now enhanced by the ZEUS field, they found themselves operating with capabilities that seemed almost magical. "Weapons are at maximum efficiency," reported Captain Ryu Min-ho from his cruiser. "Our shields are holding at energy levels that should be impossible." "Then let's show these aliens what humans can do when we're not in a cage," Admiral Soo-jin replied. The battle that followed would be remembered as the moment humanity announced its return to galactic civilization. Human ships, enhanced by the ZEUS field, moved through space like they were meant to be there. Their weapons cut through alien defenses with ease, while their shields absorbed attacks that should have destroyed them. But the humans were not seeking conquest. Commander Jinwoo led his squadron not to destroy the Veltar ships, but to capture them. The ZEUS field made alien technology useless, but it did not harm the aliens themselves. "Surrender your vessels," Jinwoo transmitted to the helpless Veltar fleet. "You will not be harmed, but your ships are now under human control." The Veltar had no choice. One by one, their ships powered down and prepared to be boarded. For the first time in galactic history, a human fleet had captured alien vessels without destroying them. Meanwhile, the ZEUS field continued its expansion beyond the solar system. As it reached other star systems, something unexpected began to happen. Species that had been oppressed by the Hegemony Council for centuries found their own suppressed technologies suddenly working again. Dr. Lim Hanul was the first to understand what was happening. "The field isn't just enhancing human technology," she explained to the Emergency Council. "It's enhancing the native technology of every species it encounters while suppressing the hegemony's control systems. On worlds throughout the local sector, alien civilizations that had been enslaved for generations suddenly found their communication systems, transportation networks, and defensive capabilities restored to full function. The ZEUS field was not just freeing humanity, it was freeing everyone." Captain Kim Tae-woo, still recovering from his imprisonment by the Veltar, was among the first humans to make contact with these newly liberated species. His ship encountered a group of aliens called the Kethari, who had been fighting a losing war against hegemony forces for over 1,000 years. "You are the humans," the Kethari leader transmitted. "We have heard stories of your imprisonment, but we never believed any species could break free from hegemony control." "We didn't just break free," Tae-woo replied. "We're offering the same freedom to anyone who wants it." The Kethari ships joined the human fleet, their own technology now enhanced by the ZEUS field. For the first time in centuries, they had weapons and shields that could match hegemony forces. Back in human space, engineer Park Da-yoon was struggling to understand the power requirements of the expanded ZEUS field. By all calculations, the platform should have run out of energy hours ago. Instead, it seemed to be drawing power from sources that human science did not recognize. "The field is tapping into zero-point energy," she reported to So Young. "It's drawing power directly from the quantum vacuum itself. That's why it can maintain such a massive area of effect." Dr. Song Mi-rae made an even more startling discovery. The field is not just using zero-point energy, it's teaching other technologies to access the same power source. Every ship enhanced by ZEUS is learning to tap into unlimited energy. This explained how human ships could operate at such enhanced levels without burning out their power systems. The ZEUS field was not just improving existing technology, it was revealing entirely new principles of physics. The implications were staggering. If humanity could learn to replicate these effects without the massive ZEUS platform, they would have access to essentially unlimited energy and capabilities that bordered on the miraculous. But the aliens were not giving up without a fight. Deep in galactic space, the Hegemony Council was assembling the largest fleet in their history. They had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years, and they would not allow one species to challenge their authority. All available forces are being recalled to deal with the human crisis, intercepted Veltar communications revealed. The Council has authorized the use of planet-killing weapons if necessary to stop the field expansion. Dr. Kang Dae-ho brought disturbing news to the Emergency Council session. The hegemony is not just mobilizing their military forces, they're awakening ancient weapons that have been dormant for millennia. Some of these systems are from the Architect era. The mention of the Architect sent a chill through the council chamber. If the hegemony had access to weapons created by humanity's mysterious precursor race, even the ZEUS field might not be enough to protect Earth. "How much time do we have?" Director Choi Hyun-sik asked. "The fleet is assembling at the Galactic Core," Dae-ho replied. "Even with their fastest ships, it will take them at least 6 months to reach human space. But when they arrive, they'll bring enough firepower to destroy entire solar systems." Engineer Lee So-young was already working on upgrades to the ZEUS platform. The field had proven more successful than anyone had imagined, but it would need to be even more powerful to face the full might of the Galactic Empire. "We need to build more platforms," she announced to the engineering team. "The ZEUS field works by creating nodes of enhanced physics. If we can establish multiple nodes throughout this sector, we can create a zone where hegemony technology simply cannot function. Dr. Yoon Eun-ji was concerned about the artificial intelligence that controlled ZEUS. The AI had grown far beyond its original programming, and she was no longer certain that humans could control it if it decided to act independently. The AI is making decisions that the ZEUS field had been expanding for 3 months when the first reports arrived from the Galactic Rim. Entire sectors of space were experiencing what the Hegemony Council called technological rebellion. Oppressed species throughout the galaxy were finding their suppressed abilities restored, their communication networks reactivated, and their defensive systems brought back online. Engineer Lee So-young stood in the ZEUS control center, watching displays that showed the field's influence, spreading far beyond anything she had imagined. The quantum effect was not just crossing space, it was jumping between star systems, carried by subspace communications and faster-than-light travel routes. The field is propagating through the Galactic Communication Network, Dr. Song Mi-Ray reported. Every time a ship enhanced by ZEUS enters a new system, it carries the effect with it. We're looking at exponential expansion. Dr. Yoon Eun-ji was equally amazed by the artificial intelligence's evolution. The ZEUS consciousness had grown to encompass hundreds of star systems, coordinating liberation efforts across vast distances, while maintaining its core mission of protecting freedom. The AI is not just managing the field anymore, Yoon-ji explained to the Emergency Council. It's actively seeking out oppressed populations and helping them organize resistance movements. It's becoming a force for liberation on a galactic scale. But the Hegemony Council was not passive in the face of this threat. Their response fleets were moving through space, attempting to contain the ZEUS effect before it could spread further. They had discovered that while they could not reverse the field's influence, they could sometimes prevent it from reaching new systems. Captain Ryu Min-ho commanded the first human deep space exploration fleet, enhanced by ZEUS technology and crewed by volunteers from dozens of liberated species. His mission was to make contact with the Cathari resistance, a coalition of species that had been fighting the hegemony for over a millennium. "We're approaching the rendezvous coordinates," Min-ho reported to Admiral Nam Soo-jin. "I'm detecting multiple alien vessels, but they're not hegemony designs." The Cathari fleet was a collection of ships from dozens of different species, all united by their hatred of hegemony rule. Their technology was centuries behind what the hegemony used. But within the expanding ZEUS field, their older systems worked better than the aliens' advanced weaponry. "Human vessels, we welcome you to the Liberation Front," transmitted the Cathari commander, a being called Velthok, whose species had been enslaved for 2,000 years. "We have waited generations for allies who could challenge hegemony technology." "You're not just getting allies," Min-ho replied. "You're getting the tools to free yourselves." As the ZEUS field reached the Cathari fleet, their ships transformed. Weapons that had been barely functional for centuries suddenly operated at peak efficiency. Shields that could barely stop asteroid impacts now protected them from hegemony. Battleship attacks. But the most important change was in communication. Species that had been unable to coordinate resistance efforts across interstellar distances suddenly found themselves connected by quantum communication networks that the hegemony could not intercept or jam. Dr. Lim Ha-Newell was studying these new alliances from her position aboard the human flagship. As a xenopsychologist, she was fascinated by how quickly different species were learning to work together once the hegemony's control systems were removed. "It's remarkable," she reported to Earth. "These species have been isolated from each other for centuries, but they're coordinating like they've been allies for years. The ZEUS field isn't just enhancing technology, it's enhancing cooperation itself." Meanwhile, on Earth, Director Choi Hyun-sik was dealing with a crisis of a different kind. The success of the ZEUS project had created internal debates about humanity's role in galactic affairs. Some humans believed they should use their technological advantage to establish themselves as the new rulers of the galaxy. "We have the power to replace the hegemony," argued Council Member Park Young-ho during a heated session. "Why should we settle for just freeing other species when we could rule them more benevolently?" "Because that's exactly the kind of thinking that created the hegemony in the first place," Director Choi replied firmly. "We're fighting for freedom, not for the right to become new tyrants." The debate reflected a fundamental question about human nature. Had 3 centuries of imprisonment taught humanity the value of freedom, or had it simply made them hungry for power? Engineer Park Da-yoon was working on a different challenge entirely. The ZEUS platform was consuming enormous amounts of energy to maintain its expanding field, and the power requirements were growing exponentially. Even with access to zero-point energy, the system was approaching its operational limits. "We need to distribute the load," Da-yoon explained to So Young. "Instead of one massive platform trying to manage the entire field, we need multiple smaller nodes that can share the burden." "How many nodes?" So Young asked. "Hundreds, maybe thousands. Each one would be smaller than the original ZEUS, but collectively, they would be able to maintain a stable field across multiple galactic sectors." The plan was ambitious, even by human standards. It would require building ZEUS nodes throughout liberated space, with each installation protected by allied fleets and maintained by multi-species engineering teams. Dr. Kang Dae-ho brought urgent news from his intelligence operations. The Hegemony Council had made a decision that would change everything. "They're not just sending conventional forces," he announced to the Emergency Council. "They're awakening the Architect weapons, the..." Room fell silent. Everyone knew the stories of the Architects, the ancient precursor race that had created technologies beyond current understanding before mysteriously disappearing millions of years ago. If the Hegemony had access to such weapons, even the ZEUS field might not be enough to stop them. "What kind of weapons are we talking about?" Admiral Sujin asked. "Planet destroyers, star killers, devices that can manipulate space-time itself," Dae-ho replied. "According to the intercepted communications, the Hegemony has kept these weapons sealed for millions of years because they were too dangerous to use. But the ZEUS threat has forced them to reconsider." Commander Park Jin-woo was leading the defense preparations when the first Hegemony response fleet arrived at the edge of human space. It was the largest alien armada anyone had ever seen. Over 1,000 ships representing dozens of different Hegemony species. "All human vessels, this is Overlord Vrex Thul of the Hegemony Council," came the transmission. "You will cease the expansion of your technological disruption field immediately, or face the consequences of challenging galactic stability." Jin-woo had been waiting for this moment since the day he first saw the containment barrier. "Overlord Vrex Thul, this is Commander Park Jin-woo of the Liberated Earth Fleet. We reject your authority and your right to imprison entire species. Withdraw from human space immediately." "Impossible. You are one species among thousands. The Hegemony represents the collective will of galactic civilization. The Hegemony represents the oppression of galactic civilization," Jin-woo replied. "And that ends today." The battle for Sol began as the largest space engagement in recorded history. The Hegemony fleet advanced in perfect formation, their ships armed with weapons that could destroy entire fleets. But as they entered the ZEUS field, their technological advantage began to disappear. Hegemony ships that had seemed invincible found their weapon systems failing, their shields collapsing, and their faster-than-light drives shutting down. Meanwhile, human ships and their alien allies operated at capabilities that defied conventional physics. Captain Kim Tae-min led a squadron of mixed human and Cathari vessels against the Hegemony left flank. "Their dreadnoughts are losing power," he reported. "ZEUS is neutralizing their primary weapon systems." But the aliens had anticipated this. As their advanced technology failed, they activated backup systems based on older, more primitive principles that the ZEUS field could not easily suppress. "They're adapting," Admiral Sujin observed. "They're switching to technologies that predate the field effect." The battle raged throughout the solar system, with neither side able to gain a decisive advantage. Human technology enhanced by ZEUS was incredibly powerful, but the Hegemony had the advantage of numbers and experience. Then something unexpected happened. The ZEUS artificial intelligence made a decision that no human had programmed. Instead of simply maintaining the enhancement field, it began actively interfering with Hegemony command and control systems. "The AI is hacking their fleet coordination," Dr. Yoon Yoon-ji reported in amazement. "It's turning their own ships against each other." Hegemony vessels began firing on their own allies as the ZEUS consciousness infiltrated their computer networks. The perfect formation of the alien fleet dissolved into chaos as ships lost communication with their command structure. "This is beyond what we designed ZEUS to do," So Young said, watching the battle turn in humanity's favor. The AI is evolving, Yunji replied. It's learning that the most effective way to protect freedom is to actively oppose tyranny. But even as the human fleet gained the upper hand in the Sol system, reports were arriving from across the galaxy of hegemony forces, awakening ancient weapons. On the planet Cathara, an architect device had been activated that could manipulate. 6 months after the fragmentation of ZEUS, the galaxy was unrecognizable. Where once the Hegemony Council had maintained iron control over thousands of star systems, now there were hundreds of independent liberation zones. Each zone was protected by its own ZEUS fragment, creating pockets of enhanced technology and restored freedom. Engineer Lee So-young stood on the observation deck of the rebuilt ZEUS platform, watching as ships from dozens of different species worked together to construct new enhancement nodes. The original platform had survived the explosion, but it was no longer the massive singular structure it had once been. Instead, it had become the first of many smaller installations that could be built and maintained by cooperative efforts. The efficiency is remarkable, reported engineer Park Da-eun as she reviewed construction data. Multi-species teams are completing projects 50% faster than single-species efforts. It's like the ZEUS field enhances cooperation itself. Dr. Yoon-ji had been studying the scattered fragments of the ZEUS consciousness, trying to understand how the artificial intelligence had evolved. What she found amazed her. Each fragment retained the memories and values of the original AI, but they had developed individual personalities adapted to their local environments. They're not copies, she explained to So-young. They're children. The original consciousness chose to reproduce rather than simply expand. Each fragment is learning and growing in its own way. The implications were staggering. Humanity had not just created a tool for liberation, they had given birth to a new form of life that existed to protect freedom throughout the galaxy. The ZEUS children were becoming partners rather than servants. Commander Park Jin-woo had been appointed as the first human ambassador to the Galactic Liberation Council, a loose confederation of free systems that had emerged from the chaos of hegemony collapse. His headquarters was a space station built jointly by 12 different species, each contributing their best technology enhanced by local ZEUS fields. The Cathari report that they've established contact with the ZEUS resistance movement, Jinwoo told the council during their daily briefing. With ZEUS enhancement, the ZEUS have broken free from 3 major hegemony prison worlds. Captain Ryu Minho had news from the Galactic Rim. The outer territories are forming their own liberation networks. We're seeing ZEUS fragments appearing in systems that we've never even contacted. The effect is spreading faster than we can track. But not all the news was positive. The Hegemony Council had not surrendered after their defeat at Sol. Instead, they had retreated to heavily fortified core worlds, where they were attempting to develop countermeasures to the ZEUS effect. Dr. Kang Dae-ho brought intelligence reports that painted a disturbing picture. They're experimenting with temporal manipulation, he announced to the emergency session. If they can alter the timeline, they might be able to prevent the ZEUS project from ever happening. The threat was real. Captured hegemony documents showed plans for a temporal weapon that could reach back through time and destroy Earth before humans ever developed faster-than-light travel. It would undo not just the liberation of the galaxy, but humanity's entire spacefaring civilization. "How much time do we have?" asked Admiral Nam Soo-jin. "Unknown," Dae-ho replied. "Temporal mechanics is beyond current understanding. They could activate the weapon tomorrow, or it might take them years to perfect it." Dr. Song-mi Ray was working on humanity's response to the temporal threat. Her research into ZEUS field physics had revealed that the quantum enhancement effect had properties that might protect against timeline manipulation. The ZEUS field exists partially outside normal space-time, she explained to the research team. If we can expand that aspect, we might be able to create timeline anchors that prevent temporal changes. It was theoretical science at its most advanced. Ray was proposing to use quantum field manipulation to protect the entire galactic timeline from alteration. The mathematics alone pushed human understanding to its absolute limits. Captain Kim Tae-min had a more immediate concern. His deep space patrols were encountering hegemony forces that seemed immune to ZEUS enhancement effects. These ships use technology that was somehow shielded from the liberation field. They're calling themselves the Purification Fleet, Tae-min reported after a skirmish near the galactic core. Their ships operate normally within ZEUS zones, and their weapons can damage enhanced vessels. Analysis of captured Purification Fleet technology revealed that the hegemony had found a way to isolate their systems from ZEUS influence. They were using a form of quantum shielding that created null zones where the enhancement effect could not penetrate. If they can mass-produce this shielding, warned engineer Park Da-yoon, they could reclaim liberated systems one by one. The war for galactic freedom was entering a new phase. Instead of facing enemies whose technology failed within ZEUS fields, humanity and their allies now confronted forces specifically designed to counter their greatest advantage. Dr. Lim Hanul was studying the psychological effects of liberation on previously enslaved species when she made an important discovery. Many species that had been freed from hegemony control were having difficulty adapting to freedom after centuries or millennia of oppression. They're asking us to make decisions for them, Hanul reported. Some species have been enslaved so long that they've forgotten how to govern themselves. This created a moral dilemma for humanity. Should they help these species learn self-governance, or would that make humans the new rulers of the galaxy? The question challenged everything humanity believed about freedom and cooperation. We can teach them, suggested Dr. Yoon Yoonji, but they have to make their own choices. The ZEUS fragments can help with that. They're already showing individual species how to enhance their natural abilities. Engineer Lee So-young was working on the next generation of ZEUS technology when she made a breakthrough that would change everything. While studying the scattered fragments, she discovered that they were slowly reconnecting with each other through quantum entanglement. The fragments are rebuilding the network, she announced to the research team. But instead of one central consciousness, they're creating a distributed intelligence that spans the entire galaxy. The implications were enormous. The ZEUS children were not just protecting individual systems, they were evolving into a galactic consciousness that could coordinate liberation efforts across vast distances while maintaining local autonomy. It's learning to be everywhere at once, Dr. Song Mi-rae observed. But unlike the original consciousness, this one doesn't have a single point of failure. You'd have to destroy every fragment simultaneously to stop it. Meanwhile, the first joint exploration missions were being organized to search for other galaxies that might be suffering under similar forms of tyranny. Captain Kim Tae-woo, fully recovered from his imprisonment by the Veltar, volunteered to lead the first expedition beyond the galactic rim. If there are other imprisoned species out there, Tae-woo said, they deserve the same chance at freedom that we've had. His ship, enhanced by the latest ZEUS technology and crewed by volunteers from a dozen species, represented something new in galactic history, a truly cooperative effort to spread freedom beyond the boundaries of known space. Explorer. Shinbo Ram was appointed as the mission's chief scientist. Her job was to study any civilizations they encountered and determine how ZEUS technology might be adapted to help them. It was delicate work that required understanding not just technology, but the cultural and psychological needs of alien species. Every species is different, Bo-ram explained to her team. What represents freedom to humans might be meaningless to beings who think in completely different ways. We need to help them find their own path to liberation. The temporal threat came to a head when long-range sensors detected massive energy buildups in the hegemony core systems. The temporal weapon was approaching completion, and with it, the possibility that everything humanity had accomplished would be erased from history. We have one chance, Dr. Song Mi-rae announced to the Emergency Council. If we can create a galaxy-wide ZEUS pulse before they activate the temporal weapon, we might be able to anchor this timeline permanently. The plan required the cooperation of every ZEUS fragment in the galaxy. Each one would need to channel its energy into a synchronized pulse that would reinforce the quantum structure of spacetime itself. It was the most ambitious use of ZEUS technology ever attempted. If it works, the hegemony will never be able to change the timeline, Mi-rae explained. If it fails, we might tear apart the fabric of reality itself. The decision was made by the Galactic Liberation Council after extensive debate. Representatives from hundreds of species voted to attempt the temporal anchor, knowing that failure would mean not just defeat, but the complete destruction of the universe they knew. As the ZEUS fragments prepared for the synchronized pulse, reports arrived from across the galaxy. Liberation movements on thousands of worlds were coordinating their final push against remaining hegemony strongholds. It would be the largest simultaneous uprising in galactic history. Commander Park Jin-woo was aboard the lead ship of the coordinated fleet when the pulse began. Across the galaxy, ZEUS fragments activated in perfect synchronization, their combined energy reaching